Thank you. Let me just welcome everybody to this is one of my favorite meetings of the year because the August meeting of the Board of Education is the last meeting that we have before the children come back to see us. And so you can see the excitement in the room from all the teachers and all the school employees. So it's kind of cool knowing that the next time we get together, we'll have kids with us. And that's what it's all about. So thank you all for joining us tonight, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And this is our regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education of Sand Spring Public Schools. And ask you to call roll, please.
Gunn, Noggle,
Here.
Wagner, here, Wagers, here, Muller.
Here. Would you all please join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the opportunity for the public to be heard, and we have nobody that signed up tonight, so thank you for that. The next item is one of my favorites as well. We get to give out awards, and Jack or Whitney, please.
Okay. I get to give away 5, make sure I'm counting correctly. Yes, 5 coins of excellence tonight to our Sand Springs Public Schools IT team. And this is Bob Jackson, Eric Hartley, Ryan Danner, did I say that correctly? Harley Tornberg, and Jason Stein. Would you please join me up here?
Harley is sick.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You all were nominated by Tina. And here's your point. Bob, nice to meet you.
Sorry.
Jason, nice to meet you.
Eric.
Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, and she wrote this really, really, really very sweet letter, and I highlighted points because they're very, very nice. She says that you guys deserve some recognition, that the IT department is best known to just kind of not be known. Like, you work best when nobody ever hears about the IT department. And I work out there in the corporate world, and that is very true. Like, if I don't have to talk to IT, it's a good day. So anyways, but this time we're going to talk about IT. Okay. And she says, the goal of good IT team is to go unnoticed, for things to run so smoothly that the teams we serve forget that we are pulling strings and solving problems in the background. But right now, after 1.5 years of nonstop adversity and adaptation, the SSPS IT team deserves to be noticed and applauded for their exceptional service. Beginning with the shutdown of spring of 2020, this team was one of the first to return to the offices. They not only kept the district afloat, but also continued to strive for high levels of workmanship and customer support. As we transitioned into the 2021 school year, the team abruptly became responsible for supporting the IT needs of not only our students and employees, but the families of all Sand Springs Public School students as well. The second half of the 2021 school year saw another huge change rock our department as a new host of responsibilities were assigned to this team. Ultimately, teachers and students didn't even notice. This is always the goal of IT. You guys are easygoing, adaptable, and you're just fantastic. And she sums it up with, this team is, at its heart, is focused on service and support. They work long hours with a variety of issues and people, and they never complain, at least not in any kind of serious attention. Though our team doesn't get to interact with kids often, you can see that everything they do is for the kids. Kids are first. I can confidently say that I wouldn't make it through each day without this team, and I'm extremely thankful to serve with them. So, yeah. Good job. Wait. Tina, do you have anything?
No,
I mean, it was fantastic. I don't know what else there could be.
Yeah, that's where my former English teacher comes out. I'm thankful for this team every day. They make me look really good because most of what I do, I wouldn't be able to do without them. The knowledge, the collective experience, I didn't add up the years, but I could have, and it would be a very high number with a very small number of people. They support everyone. And the biggest challenge for us through the pandemic was we did become on-call IT support for every family in Sand Springs with a student, which increased exponentially what the demands were on this team. So, and they roll with it every day with a smile on their face and jokes ranging from inappropriate in the office to appropriate when there are little ears around. And Ryan is going to slide into this too, since he's walking in now, so that he can be shot with the rest of the team.
Yeah. Thank you. Get your blindfold.
I'm thankful for them every day.
Can I add one little comment? Because we did hand them a scope of work last year, because every system I feel like that we run that maybe historically had been part of maintenance now requires some sort of element of technology in terms of systems. And so, like Champs, we said we need to change the way we structure some of those processes. And without one word of any kind of, I don't even know, other than I absolutely will do whatever you need. It was just finesse. And so I appreciate that, Tina. And we want you in the picture.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we'll practice.
Their leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Leader. Show everybody your shoes.
Absolutely, always.
What am I looking at?
I didn't really mean.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Welcome to the IT circus. You're getting a very authentic experience right now.
All right. Well, there's a lot of you. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody say IT.
Should we do jazz hands?
You almost got a lineup of capes
Yeah.
that was
I
discussed
should've.
with more seriousness than it probably should have been.
Hey, thank you, guys.
The next thing we want to do is we got a certificate of appreciation. I'm going to ask Eric Stuckey to join me, please. Tell you what, we have great business partners in Sand Springs. And the Sand Springs Home has been a tremendous business partner, not just for the schools, but for the whole community for how many years?
How long's the home?
Forever, it seems like. So
Well, we've been around for about 114 years, something
you
like
guys
that.
are amazing. Your team is amazing. You give us children, you give us money, you give us support, you give us all that, a lot of.
Sounds like we're busy.
things. You're very, you take care of Sand Springs, you take care of Sand Springs schools, and we help.
That's right.
Certificate of appreciation presented to Sand Springs Home, appreciation for your generous donation to the 2021-2022 Sand Springs Public Schools STEM program. Thank you for focusing forward to help our students achieve their goals. They give us money every year. They give us the support, and we can't do what we do without the support of Sand Springs Home. So thank you our STEM program is a wonderful thing. Ms. Durkee will probably explain it more than I can, but we are recognized for what we do in our STEM program around the community, around Tulsa, around the state. They know what Sand Springs is doing in science, technology. I like that engineering piece of it, and mathematics. So thank you very
Thank you.
much. So you guys are great.
Legacy of Mr. Page continues. We think right, and we continue that on.
Very much so. Thank
You
you.
could escape though, Eric, please, because there's probably folks in the audience that don't really understand what the home does.
Mhm.
In terms of, donations are great. Keep that coming, man. I'll reel it in every year. And it is beneficial to the broader scope of our program at Charles Page High School, and younger. But honestly, there's more to the Sand Springs Home than meets the eye. So do you mind describing this?
Brief. Sand Springs Home, established 1908, Charles Page. We probably all know that. It's the continuation of a trust where there's 3 trustees that continue to do this. We have 2 charities, which is the Children's Home and what was originally a widow's colony, which is the Charles Page Family Village now, that has over 110 units. So we have 110 families that have at least 2+ kids, plus the home. So what you see is we have 250 to 260 children that live with us, and probably at least 200 of those are in the school system with us. And we do it all based off of Charles Page's trust and what he's left us and how we manage that. We do not take, and still do not take, because Charles Page didn't want us to, we do not take funds from the government in any way, shape, or form to help these kids. So we are a home that takes kids that are at a high level that we try to make into our own family. And if you ever come up there, you need to see that it is family. We try to be family. And then the opportunity for the women in there for them to go back to school. We have story after story of the families getting to be in a place where they can support their kids. They can then do dance or football and can afford those things while mom goes to school and gets a degree. And so our graduation rate, I would put up against any children's home or any other type of institution. And it's based, and the school is the big help in that, is that we graduate 90+% of almost every kid that comes through with us, which is an awesome deal because we have such a great partnership with the school and the principals and the teachers and the school board. It's just been awesome. And I hope that legacy continues, because that is truly Charles Page's legacy, is the kids. It's not anything else. It is the kids and the changing of lives of families and where we are, because that's what he wanted to do.
So we say thank you for that.
So I'm just like, I have my job.
And what I'll tell you is they are always so generous to us, and Ms. Durkee doesn't even have to ask. They come forward.
I asked though.
She asks, though, but she does. She will keep
She just
asking.
comes up to me like,
But just, come on, it's time. It's time. It's time.
yeah.
Thank you for what you do.
All
We
right.
appreciate it.
1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we appreciate getting to do that, Ms. Durkee. Thank you for putting those together for us, and thank you for the participants and for people that are doing good. We appreciate that. That makes our life a lot easier. So this is kind of one of the times in the meeting that if you came for that and you want to leave, you're more than welcome to leave. And if there's kids here, I say they're going home and do homework, but no kids here yet. But if anybody wanted to leave, now is a good time to be able to do that. Or you can stay and watch us do business. So.
Serious for me.
We all know.
Wouldn't make it.
Thank you guys for what you do. I very much appreciate it. The next item, number 6, the discussion and review of instructional strategies in alignment with the district continuous strategic improvement plan goal. Ms. Durkee, could you lead us through that item, please?
Well, you may or may not have noticed Claudia Smith just walked in. She's sitting in the back very inconspicuously. I just wanted to mention that we have been pulled for another federal monitoring. I say that with a lot of compassion for Ms. Smith because it is a lot of work. So last year we went through a complete on-site federal monitoring, which is very comprehensive, requires a lot of data, and a lot of paperwork that gets shifted to the State Department of Ed, and then they come on site to visit sites. Typically it does happen, not typically, but it happens once every 3 years with districts. This year, they randomly pulled, I believe, 30% of the districts in the state of Oklahoma just for a desk monitoring, and we got pulled. So coming off of an on-site monitoring to go right back into desk monitoring because of a random pull was daunting. In fact, when I got the email, I was convinced it was a mistake. And so I shipped it to Claudia and said, please call the State Department of Ed and make sure that this is correct. So she's getting ready to go through a very strenuous year again. I know it says desk monitor, but basically that means gathering a lot of data and shipping it off to the State Department. In fact, she just made a trip to Oklahoma City to probably not to cover monitoring necessarily. It was to cover monitoring. So anyway, lots of kudos to her because it's a lot of work and she does an amazing job. So just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention. As you know, last year's monitoring, we were found in compliance in all areas, which will be the same this year, I have no doubt. Professional development schedules attached. So as you know, we start the teachers back next week. We'll be doing our opening assembly on Tuesday. We'll begin around 8:30-ish at Clydewood Middle School and will encompass most of the morning. So it's just a kickoff to a large set of events that our teachers will go through in preparation to get school started. Last thing I want to mention under student and staff empowerment is really the policy around House Bill 1775, which was passed this legislative season. I think it is appropriate, honestly, to talk about that bill and the nature of that bill. It basically, people refer to that bill and the idea of critical race theory comes up, and I just want to be able to talk about that publicly and answer any questions that you all might have. But the idea that we would teach any kind of curriculum that would suggest that there is inherent racism would be super inappropriate, and that's what the law is. That law requires a board policy, which is attached in item number 41. We'll be asking you to approve. This was a policy that was written by our Oklahoma State School Board Association. That basically just says that we wouldn't do that. I want to give a little bit of maybe my opinion, honestly. We're going to teach the standards. We've been approached by parents recently asking to review our textbooks specifically regarding history. We're more than happy to open up and let the public see what that is, because we have legislatively approved Oklahoma standards that we will continue to teach. Sean, Mr. Beard and I had a meeting with our teachers last week, I believe, just making sure that people are aware of the expectation. And basically the design is they teach factual history without any formulation of presenting a personal opinion about politics. We want to make sure our kids get the full gamut of what's required in the standards, and that's what we've always done and what we'll continue to do. So I don't foresee it being a problem, but I did feel the need to talk about it openly in public and make sure you guys didn't have questions regarding that particular House bill. So I would absolutely want to respond to any questions you might have.
My understanding is we're not changing the curriculum at all to it because we've never done that.
Obviously, right, absolutely. Obviously, I can't speak to other districts, but I've never known a district that has presented that theory as part of any kind of curriculum, because it's not part of our standards. So we're busy enough teaching the standards that we're responsible for without adding anything additional that would be very controversial or opinion oriented for that matter. So I just wanted to assure the Board of Education and the public that that would not happen. So, okay, moving on.
Ms. Durkee, related to that subject. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7. What about resource innovation?
There's a lot to talk about. Again, highly not dependent, but I love to hear Vernon Florence's rendition of the state of affairs with state revenue. The State Board of Equalization met. State aid in terms of factor, we had an increase this year, which is a big hooray. As I've stated multiple times previously, we're in a position where most districts in the state have lost enrollment based on COVID. So kids choosing to homeschool or exit to one of our statewide virtual academies. And we're down about 150 students, give or take, depending on the day you count. So we're dealing with that and we're planning accordingly, but it is a concern. I'm hopeful because of the nature by which we're going back to school this year. I think we're seeing an uptick of in-person enrollment. I know our virtual school housed about 22 to 23% of students, total population last year. And we feel like it's going to be close to where it was pre-COVID. And I know Mr. Rhodes is in the audience now. I don't know if you want to talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, based on the enrollment numbers we have from enrollment in the spring and the questionnaire that we put in that packet for the parents to respond to, and course requests from the middle school and high school, we're sitting at just over 200 right now. So, which was about where we were pre-COVID at the same point in the year. So with scheduled pickup this week, we'll get a better feel. That's going into this point. That's feels like pre-COVID numbers. I think we'll probably be right around
I'm just curious, Mr. Rowland, what age group, what class size or grades?
Most of those are high school kids. We have 12 kids that are pre-K through 5 at this point, less than 50 middle school. So most of those are high school kids that are taking advantage of our blended options.
So those numbers are similar. We had some elementary students before, and I will proudly say we've operated a virtual academy, as you know, for 10 years now. So the idea of virtual school wasn't new to Sand Springs. It was on steroids last year, obviously, because of the nature of the game with COVID, but we're seeing that come back down to normal. So again, anything can happen between now and the beginning of school. As you know, that last year we got flooded with a lot of kids that were enrolling in the virtual school or virtual academy. And so that took an abundance amount of work to get those enrollments in. But our prediction at this point is we're going to be back to where we were before.
Have we set any timelines that says if you want to go virtual, you do it by this date?
We have not. I know there's some Tulsa areas, districts, you're probably reading in the paper that set those deadlines. We haven't. We have a very fluid situation going, as you have lived through for the last year. And so we chose not to put those parameters around, in terms of deadlines around parents and their choice of how they want their child to be educated. I don't foresee us doing that again. I honestly, I'll, of course, admit if I'm wrong, but I think the dust will settle enough that it won't be necessary. So no, that's not in our attention at all. So, next, accreditation status. It's always a happy day to report that we are accredited fully with no deficiencies. Again, you get those reports back and it's a one pager. Yeah, you're accredited with no deficiencies. And it's almost like, what? We should get more hurrah about it because it takes a lot of work. Like our building principals and Miss Arnold works really hard to make sure that we're in compliance in all areas. So you get that letter and it's a great day, but anyway, it just seems super small for the amount of work that it takes, much like the Title I monitoring. Also, just glad to report that Angus Gym is well on its way to being occupied. We weren't there, right? Obviously, we're not there now. My hope was to have an agenda board meeting at Angus, which maybe could happen in September, but it'll be ready when school starts, and it's amazing. So, well on the road to getting that done. And then the Central Ninth Grade Center, the old building remodel is coming along very nicely. I don't know, Ms. Kavach, if you would want to report on that, but I am very proud of the work that they're doing and just updating and making it look livable, honestly, but then really modern with a really modern feel.
All the walls will be recovered. They're working, they have all the demo done. They have all the walls almost all recovered. They are mudding and taping the walls on the weekends. So we come back in Monday and they're ready to do more walls again. So they have almost 95% of the walls done in the enrollment area. Downstairs, they have technology framed, and I just met with them today. They didn't have all your electricity, so we went over that today. And they're moving along really fast. We're not planning on moving until October, so they're ahead of schedule. I think they're using this in between jobs, several jobs going on, and all's good.
Roof repairs are ongoing, so Jeannie's Kavach is getting the roof reports with completion of each scope of work. So that's happening due to the hailstorm from last year. And if you recall, the data we had from OSIG was very convoluted last year, so it took a little bit of time to fully understand which roof was what based on the drawings that they submitted. So we're well underway getting the roof repairs done from last year. And of course, most of that is covered through our OSIG insurance.
Driven by Boyd, you'll see rooftop equipment out on the ground. 2 contractors got a school in the district or a campus in the district. So Boyd is one of them. I think the other contractor is already moving on some of the roofs, and Dick Watts will do Boyd, and he's staging everything as soon as everything comes in. I noticed today he had crews over there. He's probably ready to get his boom lift over there and start raising the units up. So, and all of those units were purchased this time with BACnet capability. So when we redo our energy management and building management system, that will play right into what we are doing with our new DDC controlled thermostats.
I know you have big questions about that because I understand none of that. So if she's here, you need to ask her. I will say this. I'm pretty excited about energy management. We have an RFP going out for bid right now to literally do the entire district for the most part. There's maybe a few sections that prefabs made small amount.
We're not doing Angus, and we're not doing Central Ninth Grade, the boiler schools, until we take care of that boiler school.
But you should be getting a quote, like a recommendation for the lowest bid, hopefully, at the September meeting.
September, we should have something for the board to review.
So, questions for Jeannie for sure while she's here. All right, y'all are quiet tonight. We're ready to move on. I would entertain items 8 and 9 together.
Any questions about resource innovation. We'll move on to number 8.
Could I, if I
8 and 9
may,
together?
land 8 and 9
I'm fine with
together
that.
because
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
really about kind of the same general idea. Communication, we're getting ready to communicate out. I wanted to have this open discussion with the board tonight publicly about what we're calling Ready Together Sandites, which mimics what the State Department is calling their required documentation and plan for school reentry, which feels weird to me because we've been in school this whole time. But it also is about federal requirements for receiving our third stimulus package, which for us is about $5.8 million. There's some component parts that we have to comply with. I just want to say thank you to Miss Jackie Wagner. She's actually sitting on that committee this year for us alongside teachers, administrators, parents, and then some community members. Mr. Sleff, but he's also sitting on the committee alongside Suzanne Sanders representing our Native American folks. Nonetheless, we're going to have an open meeting and dialogue. As you know, we've been holding those fairly frequently. This summer we lagged a little bit just because it's summer. But communicating out what that health guidance is going to be. So that takes me into the health and safety portion, which is the plan actually called Ready Together Sandites. It has not been posted yet, but will be tomorrow. Again, wanted to have this public discussion tonight. But essentially, there's some key components that are different than they were last year. You guys are very familiar with Senate Bill 658, which regulates those health guidance pieces that we were able to employ last year that we cannot. So mask mandates, masks will be totally optional at all sites this year. We cannot, and nor would we ask for verification of vaccinations. Of course, you know, I know you listen and you're understanding the recommendations from the Tulsa Health Department, Oklahoma Department of Health regarding vaccines, but it's not something we would ask for verification from a student or a staff member. I quoted the statistics last year regarding the number of teachers reporting that they had been fully vaccinated as of May. Of course, we've turned over a little bit, but at the end of the school last year, we had about 60% of our teachers that were reporting fully vaccinated. I don't know what that is right now, but I would assume that it's roughly the same considering folks coming in and leaving. Quarantines, we're not going to impose quarantines. The thought process behind that, and again, full discussion with 3 nurses in the district in a pretty lengthy meeting with our admin team. Because the CDC recommendations are different for vaccinated versus unvaccinated people, and we're unable to verify those, it's going to be hard to impose quarantine. So we're not going to do that. Again, folks that are 12 years old and older have the ability, if they choose to be fully vaccinated. And we, as you know, have held 2 drive-through clinics this summer for that purpose. And I think I talked about that last meeting in that we had, I believe, 17 people the first clinic and 32 the second one. So, you know, as far as people coming to ours, I can't even speak to how many out there would have been vaccinated. When we look at data and we have a full year of elementary, I think that's kind of one of the biggest concerns with folks, is that elementary population that don't have the ability to become vaccinated yet. We were able to look at a year's worth of data in regard to quarantines based on a school exposure, and students who were quarantined last year based on that came back with a positive case was 1.27%. So it was really small. So as a team, we feel pretty confident in starting the school out, not implementing quarantines at this point for sure. So that's where we're at, unless you guys have questions or qualms. Obviously, numbers are up. You know this. You're following, I'm sure, the data. I will say this: a couple of weeks ago, we, as a TCASA group, which is that Tulsa area superintendent's group, met with the Tulsa Health Department, and so our contact, Ashley, and I won't be able to say her last name off the top of my head, but Bruce Dart was on the call. And at that point in time, 98% of the folks that were in ICU units were unvaccinated folks. That was just a fact that he was presenting. So I feel good about our Ready Together plan. I've gotten a few phone calls asking specific questions. Again, we haven't posted this to the website, but it will be posted tomorrow morning to the website and then to our social media pages alongside just a letter from me with the simple explanations that I'm making for you guys tonight so that people don't have to delve in necessarily to the document to understand the changes from last year to this year. So, kind of combined 8 and 9, but in a nutshell, it was really about the same topic. So I would entertain any questions for sure. I definitely want to answer those publicly.
And it's very similar to what we used this summer, in the summer.
Correct.
So.
Thank you for that mention because we ran a program in June and in July. In July, we had approximately 4 cases, but total population of students, we served 450 kids this summer.
The total attendance was closer to about 375.
Okay. So a lot of kids this summer. We had 4 cases, 3 at Northwoods, 1 at Pratt. None of those cases originated inside the school. And out of and they, of course, isolated, the positive cases isolated at home, but there was no, at least to our knowledge, spread based on exposure at school. So that's helpful, I think.
Superintendent, that was just for July.
July camp. That's
Because we
correct.
also had 21st century and that pretty much went off without a hitch.
I don't think
250 kids in no cases.
no cases in June. So we're feeling comfortable with the recommendation to go forward. I will say this, people are gonna wonder, and so I have a tendency to be very transparent, and so we're still gonna contact Trace. That's how we handled it this summer. So when we had classes where we could identify those close contacts, we would call specifically those parents and say, hey, by the way, we had a positive case and your child may have been in close contacts, and then let them decide how to handle that situation. And it worked fine. Pratt housed maybe half the population that they have in school. And I will say this summer there was a little bit more freedom for movement just because it was a summer camp, not we're sitting at our desk, doing paper and pencil work all the time, which we don't do that anyway, but there was more freedom to roam. So it was a little bit harder to contact Trace and we had no problems. So if you have parent questions, which is the reason we're going to try to be very transparent with positive cases at school and what we're seeing. And the idea is to continue to post the data so people can see that on our website on a weekly basis. So that's the recommendation that we'll be putting out tomorrow. It doesn't require board approval, but there's logistically based on the law, that's basically the context of where we're at. So any questions?
And again, it's a fluid document.
It's a fluid document. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right.
Doesn't make it hard to read, it's all fluid.
Well, maybe. It depends, because the words are running all over the place now. Great. I think that concludes
I just, from a personal experience, that my daytime job is at a hospital, and I will tell you that the numbers that we are seeing now are like they were back in the January, February timeframe. So it's a real deal. It's increasing. I appreciate this document. I look forward to a successful school year, and I appreciate what we've done and given the responsibility to the individuals, because we know we can't require it. Not that I would ever require it, but I would highly recommend that people take the precautions that are out there to protect themselves and protect others, because it's a real deal.
Right. People are making personal choices, Mr. Mullins, about their own health. And so my letter, I was pretty open with my own vaccination. I was in the paper looking away because I don't like needles either. And so it's a lovely picture, by the way, but I've just been open about it. I think that Sandites generally care about each other, and nobody wants that condition. So anyway, I'm happy with where we're at. I think it's a good plan. And again, you're right, Jackie, it is fluid. So
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions for the board related to that? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda.
hey,
The items you want to
yeah,
identify and
so
discuss, please.
he is not really an item that's any different than what we always have. It's just the stipend list. It's that one time a year piece with our district stipends. And that's about people that do extra things other than just teach during the day. Item number 20, there's a lot of events. So I would just bring your attention to those things that are happening pretty quickly. The first one, of course, is our big district assembly. Always invite board members to come just to be seen and heard. I know Mr. Mullins, I think you're slated to speak at that meeting. So thank you for doing that. Hall of Fame banquet is different than it has been in the past, and it's coming up pretty quickly. And of course, conferences that are out of state are just listed for your benefit, so you can get them on your calendar. Item
Let me
22.
just add one about what you're showing an item of October the 26th.
Oh,
We're
thank
going
you.
to have the OSSBA Region 4 meeting here at Charles Bay High School.
Thank you.
So get the opportunity to share with what we've got with other people in the region.
I love that. They're going to cater and all of that. So
The 26th.
26th of October,
thank you, Mr. Mullins, for reminding us.
our turn. So
Yeah, it is our turn. There's nothing better than showing off our district to other people.
there you go. People love coming to Sanford.
I don't have to Google Maps that one.
True, and I can actually find my way.
Yeah.
Yes. True. Item 22 is weird. It's, we had the stimulus money that we used to purchase the fleet of buses. So basically, Ms. Cummings, by the way, she's married now, so we don't call her Hayes anymore. Ms. Cummings has listed the surplus buses that will be replaced by our new fleet. So that's a hooray. 23, one time we surplus them and then maybe sell them. We'll see, but they need to come off our insurance. So that's the biggest thing. They got to come off the insurance.
Not that I want to buy one, but.
Hey, do you want to?
Turn it into an RV.
There you go. People do that. Item 23 is just that decision to administer the ACT as our spring assessment to juniors. I would say item number 25, just to make a note, I believe that contract still indicates our previous transportation director. Thank you for that catch, Mr. Mullins. So we'll be changing that contract exactly the same, except we're going to be placing Jennifer Cummings' name in that contract. Item number 31 is school-based services for Medicaid. I thought I might ask Ms. Slahuber to talk through that just a little bit. That was a recommendation that I think is new this year.
Sure. We actually, you all already approved this for last school year, but it took us basically the entire school year to get the application completed with Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. Each one of my therapists had to get their own national provider ID numbers. They had to get Oklahoma Healthcare Authority numbers. And then once I had all of their numbers, I was able to create the district number. So this is the same contract that you all approved for last school year, just with the change in the school year. They also made a change at the State Department level, where I think now this only has to be done every 3 years as opposed to yearly. And so in the fall, excuse me, this is allergies, by the way. I feel like I have to say that in this day and time. The speech paths are ready to hit the ground running. They're going to start billing Medicaid. So any of our students that are on IEPs that get speech services and they are on Sooner Care, we actually get reimbursed for that, for their services. And so my office has been working this summer to get consent from parents. You do have to have consent. And if a parent says no, we're not going to push them for that consent. So far, everybody has given us the go for those that we've talked to this summer. So we're pretty excited about it. It's going to help us put supplies and materials and testing and maybe even additional staff on board in the special ed department. So
Any questions for Ms. Slahuber? Just it helps us pay for some services and provide some additional money. So that's good. Item 32, I'm not sure we've ever had an MOU for Goodwill, which I'm excited about. So you want to talk about that?
yes, I would love to talk about that. I'm really, really excited about this. Work adjustment training is a program where Goodwill will partner with the school district and help train some of our students on IEPs to be prepared to be in the job force after high school. So we have a gap right now between students who can go to Tulsa Tech or students who go on to college. And then I have a population of special ed students who can't qualify for Tulsa Tech type services. So this really bridges the gap. And it allows the students, they go to Goodwill and they're there 3 hours a day, just like a Tulsa Tech program. They're getting their elective credits, just like Tulsa Tech. But they're learning skills that they're then going to help them with job placement after high school. And Ms. Cummings has been very gracious, and we're actually going to bus our students there as well, just like we bus the students to Tulsa Tech. Right now, we have one student who has been accepted to the program, but I have several more that are doing applications as we speak. So I'm really passionate about life after high school for students with disabilities. They want to be contributing members of our society. And here in Sand Springs, we do a really great job, I think, of embracing our students. But to me, this is the next step, that not only are we going to embrace you, we're going to hire you and we're going to teach you to do something that's going to be meaningful for you for life. So as you can tell, I'm super excited about it. I cannot wait to report back to you all after a few months and let you know how it's going. So.
This program here on Southwest Boulevard.
Yes.
Cool. Wow,
Yeah.
that works.
Very exciting. Yep. It's called Transition Services, and they were doing a great job. So 35, I would just kind of bring that to your attention. This is the first time we will have Wi-Fi installation on school buses, which I'm pretty excited about. We have some long routes, as you know. We bus all the way from Zinc Ranch to 61st Street South. So I think 200 square miles of, am I saying that right? That sounds atrocious, but 200 square miles of busing. So it's exciting to get some Wi-Fi on a bus so students can actually access and maybe do a little bit of homework on the bus. So yeah, it's different. They won't like that, but I think it's a great idea.
It's front.
Go
So this opportunity is being made available to us through the Emergency Connectivity Fund, which is being released through the FCC. We're using the USAC portal, which is what all of our E-rate filing is done through. So it's the same process for applications and allotments and all of that. And the the bus Wi-Fi that I'm recommending will run through the same console that our Wi-Fi hotspots ran through. It's already part of Kajit. It runs through the same console, which means I have the same level of filtering capability on the bus Wi-Fi that I have on the hotspots that our students were already using. So they won't be able to do some of the things I'm sure they're going to try to do. But it will enable us to not only help with bus routes, but I'm also hoping we'll eventually be able to park those maybe in some of our lower income neighborhoods to provide Wi-Fi for kiddos when they're at home as well, just to increase that full equity of access even when they're at home.
You have to look for the positive. And one thing I will say with the pandemic, it's terrible, but upping our game, and I've told you guys this before, with one-to-one capability and just the lessons learned for instruction have been incredible. And so I don't know if you caught the awards that Focus Forward, which is our new hashtag this year, Focus Forward 22, and really partaking in this idea of, do we want to go back? I mean, is that where we want to be? Because I don't think so. I think that we take what we've learned and we make our education system better. And so I'm pretty excited about the opening assembly. That'll give you a little bit of a hint of where we're going. So
Curious on parking the buses in the neighborhoods. You have to go inside the bus to receive the signal, or is it?
No, so, and that's not a hard plan by any means. That's something that Jennifer and I are gonna have to work out. It's just something I would like to work toward, because we do have some of those areas that are kind of dead zones or zones where families can't afford to have internet in the home. And the signal parameter, it's just a setting that we would adjust. So we would adjust to accommodate a specific amount of radius, which obviously we would want to max out. And with the way that the console works, I can set that to be within certain times. So it can be within the confines of the bus when they're running a route. And then I can have a trigger at a specific time to increase the radius to provide that connectivity in family homes within that radius.
different day and age. I mean, it just is a different day and age. And one of the other things that COVID taught us was that connectivity and equity is a problem. Because we have a lot of families that don't have connectivity, and you don't think about it until you don't have it. And so we were faced with that reality, as was every other district in the country, honestly. So we're trying to correct it.
Quieter on the buses too.
What's that?
Quieter on the buses.
Right? I don't know,
I
maybe.
had pulled the statistics for you all, and I will do that at some point, but there is actually a direct correlation between inappropriate behavior and or disruptive behavior on the bus and having Wi-Fi available. And the districts that have already implemented that, there's a marked decrease in behavioral issues and detention demerits awarded for bus behavior when there is some kind of connectivity, because it just gives them something to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because their faces in the screen now. I don't know if I take that. I get it. It's true. Okay, if we're ready to move on. Let's see. I think that might be all. That's all on the consent agenda. I would bring to your attention that may be a little bit different than what you normally see.
Any questions or concerns about any items listed in the consent agenda? Thank you for sharing the information. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for vote, please, Beth.
Noggle, Wagner,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 39, action items, the proposed executive session to discuss employment of a plethora of individuals. Any desire to go to executive session tonight? See, then we'll move item number 40, proposed employment of a large group of people.
It's a larger group of
That's
people
too,
than
so.
I would like to see in August. I'm gonna admit that right up front. However, we filled them.
Right.
So there's a statement in and of itself. Now, Kristen Arnold works some magic in regard to emergency and alt certification, there's no doubt. But the fact that we filled them is a testament for sure. I will say we've seen quite an exodus in general as a state from folks that are at that 3-year high, as we've mentioned before, for retirement. And then folks, our last resignation was really a person that was getting out of the field to go work in a different job. So, I mean, that's also a testament to the state of the teacher shortage in Oklahoma. So this is atypical, not something we want to see in August, because that is hard work, is it not?
Yeah, I still have Wanda out for a few of them, so.
So yes, it's a larger list than we want.
However, it also shows that we're an attractive district.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I appreciate that as a testament to the administration and to the team that we have in place. So thank you for,
When you make them leave and she gets them back, gets them.
I know, right? I know it. Good thing
Good team.
Arnold's here.
I would entertain a motion to approve the employment of the positions and the personnel listed in their agenda.
I would move to propose employment for the list on number 14.
No, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Call for a vote, please.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Aye. Item number 41, proposed approval of new and revised policies.
So the two there, the A and B policies are the one that addresses House Bill 1775. Again, in my report, sometimes referred to as the critical race theory bill. That's kind of that, just to be clear, honestly. The third one is about staff contracts, and this is to address the idea of making sure for teachers we know are going to be certified, but that certification is delayed, we're able to pay them teacher certification pay. This was adjusted by Counselor Watts this month. I will say there's one correction because I believe the last line was not completed when we did the red line. So of course, in Kim Clenny fashion, she sent us what it should say. So basically, number 8, we would correct in the minutes to say, to observe and comply with the provisions of the Oklahoma State Board of Education certification requirements. So it's just a technicality of language that was inadvertently left out as we redlined. It has been a pretty tedious process in the State Department of Ed in their attempt to duly certify those people that are eligible for certification, because there are so many that are in the queue for emergency or alternative. It is taking a long time. In fact, I think the backlog is 10 weeks. So we want to make sure that when we onboard, we're onboarding people that we know have the availability to be certified. So that would be the reason for that policy. And we're asking for approval as a first read versus taking it to next month.
and A and B are, BOSSBA.
The A is the policy, B is the complaint process, which also is required.
Any questions or discussion? Well, let me ask for a motion to approve the three policies as identified.
Motion. Approve them.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Thank you. Call for a vote, please.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullen,
Aye. Item 42, proposed approval to rescind and remove policy DABB-E1, records investigation consent from the district policy manual.
So this was a recommendation from OSSBA. This is an antiquated policy that we've had in our manual for some time. We've redone it because there was a background check law that was implemented, not this legislative session, but last legislative session that made background checks mandatory. They always have been, but it gave us a deadline. So those folks like myself who are a little older may or may not have had one on file. So everybody in the district has had to go back and actually get fingerprinted, including most of our leaders, not most, but probably half of our leadership team. So it's just one of those compliances made state law last year and then has to be implemented prior to June of 22. So
Did we reimburse the people for
Did.
the things?
well, we didn't reimburse them. We had a purchase order. There's a whole long process, but basically they take a purchase order to background check place in West Tulsa, get it done, and then we pay them directly.
Entertain a motion to approve item number 42.
Make the motion.
Second.
That was moved and seconded. Further questions or discussion? Call for vote, please. Beth?
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullen,
Aye. Item 43, any matter that could not be foreseen.
There is not, no,
Very good. Announcements.
no announcements.
Move adjourn.
Seeing none, I move for the motion to adjourn. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for vote, please.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullen.
All right, I'm getting spoiled. We're getting that in before.
Oh, right, so good.
Wow. Thank you.